Just going to review what we are going over this week in math. Unit 3.7, division. So, as we've begun division, it's very important for students to understand that when we see a division problem, we know the total, and we're trying to solve to see the amount that goes into each group or the amount of equal groups. So, for example, 24 stars into 4 groups. If you see an equation like that, 24 divided by 24, let me pick another color. 24 divided by 4, so 24 divided by 4, and you know there are 4 equal groups. This looks like a 9. You would have to solve to try to find out how many would go in each group. You can skip count by 4s. You can draw 24 on the outside and put 1 in each, 1 by 1 by 1. Also, you can think of it as 4 times something equals 24. So there are different ways that we've been trying to solve division equations. One, as I said, is fair share, where you have the total. You either know the amount of groups, like in this situation, and you put 1 in each. You share it fairly. Fair share. That's what we call the strategy. You can also flip it into a multiplication equation. 4 times something equals 24. And then you can skip count by 4s and understand that, all right, I skip counting by 4s 6 times until I got up to the total 24. So 6 will go in each group. The second type of division equation or problem that we see is when we know the amount that goes into each group and we have to figure out how many groups there are. So for this one right here, I'll just put a number 2. We can divide 24 stars into groups of 24. So that would be 24 divided by 4 once again, but that 4 wouldn't represent the amount of groups. It would represent the amount in each. So you would just make groups of 4. 4, all right, going up to the total, which is 24. Make another group, 8, all right. So you're not at 24 yet. Make another group of 4, 12, all right. And you continue, 16, 20, until you reach 24. So you would eventually get to 6 groups of 4. And that's when a problem lets you know that there are 4 in each group. So it would still be 24 divided by 4. However, the 4 in this equation will represent the amount in each group. So these first 2 strategies, those are called equal groups. This strategy right here where I'm running number 3, that's a tape diagram. It looks like equal groups. Some students like to use this a little bit better. I use this most often in class, but equal groups is another strategy, another representation. Students may notice that when they draw it out, that it looks like multiplication. So that's where they start to draw the connection. Another strategy is a number line where they start from 0 and they start to skip count by a certain number. In this example, they are skip counting by, and I'm writing the number 4 next to it so you know what I'm talking about. But 0, and then you go to 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. They're skip counting by 4s up until they get to the total, which is 24. And they jump 6 times. The fifth way that we see it is in an array. So 24 stars in an array. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. 4 rows of 6. As students know, these are representations and ways that we show multiplication as well. So it's starting to go back to multiplication in those representations that we've been working on since the beginning of the year. So it's imperative that students are able to realize that. So when they see an example like this, Sherelle was working at the grocery store and had to arrange apples into equal rows. when they see equal rows, they should know that it's an array. So going away from making equal groups, this particular word problem, this story problem, has to do with an array because it explicitly says rows. So equal rows of 9. How could she make rows? Can she make up with 45 apples? So she would make rows of 9. So this is a group of 9. Make another group of 9, which would bring you to a total of 18. Make another group of 9. That would bring you to 27. Make another group of 9. That brings you to 36. And another group of 9, which would bring you to 45, which lets you know 45 is the total. Sometimes I put the letter T there so students remember that. 45 total divided by 9, because that's the number that we knew in the beginning, and it represented how many in each row. And then our final answer would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that 5 represents the amount of rows. And like I said, students can also use multiplication to solve this. When they had 45 divided by 9, they could have flipped it to 9 times something equals 45, because 45 represents the total in both things. So this is what we're working on this week. We're continuing division, different ways of representing it, equal groups, tape diagram, number lines, arrays, as well as using multiplication. So having students become familiar with different strategies and finding out the one that they really gravitate to and which is the most efficient for them. And that is about it. This is Mr. Bonhomme. Peace.